Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Rock and Roll True Stories. And there's some interesting news stories I wanted to talk about today. So Loudwire published an article about which US state rocks the hardest. So how did they determine which state rocks the hardest or rocks the most? So they compared the population of each state to the number of hard rock and metal concerts that take place there each year. And after comparing all 50 states, the number one rock and roll state was North Dakota, while not trailing far behind was South Dakota, which hosts the second most concerts per capita of any state. Utah, Nevada, and Idaho rounded out the top five. But if you guys want to see the full map, I've linked to it down below. Now, for as much as North Dakota and South Dakota love their metal and hard rock, no real big prominent bands have actually come from the Dakotas. Perhaps the biggest band to come from North Dakota is Egypt, while Black Lake District could be considered the most successful metal act from South Dakota. As for which states have the most total rock and metal shows each year, it's pretty simple to say that the biggest states in the union racked up the highest numbers, with California hosting the most gigs annually, and the second highest number of gigs actually happens in Texas, followed in third place by New York. They also rounded out the ticket info from Vivid Seats, painting a picture of which rock and metal bands sell the most tickets across the US. And it shouldn't come as any surprise that the top selling metal band was Metallica, followed by Tool and Iron Maiden. And on the hard rock spectrum, Guns N' Roses was the highest selling band right before AC/DC. Turning now to some other news, Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins released his second single from his upcoming album, Get the Money. And Foo Fighters are apparently working on their follow-up, or they're going to start working on their follow-up to their 2017 album, Concrete and Gold, this month, with an expectation of a release at some point in 2020. So the song that was released from his album is called Get the Money, and he's got a pretty big all-star lineup coming out on his upcoming record. So arriving on November 8th, the title of the album is also Get the Money, and it's the third album by Taylor Hawkins and his band, the Coattail Riders, which consists of bassist Chris Chaney and guitarist Brent Woods. But he's also going to be joined by a number of other big superstars, including Foo Fighters bandmates Dave Grohl and Pat Smear, Queen drummer Roger Taylor, Nancy Wilson of Heart, Yes singer John Davidson, Jane's Addiction frontman Perry Farrell, and country star LeAnn Rimes. Also, Duff punk rock McKagan of Guns N' Roses will also be joining him, and you can actually hear him on the track Get the Money. And finally, with the news of Rick Ocasek of the Cars passing away towards the later part of last month, it appears that Cars did a lot of healing before Ocasek passed away. So he passed away on September. It was just 18 months after the band reunited for the induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. And prior to that, they hadn't really worked together since 2011, but issues still remained around the 1988 split. But Okasek's estranged wife, Paulina Poroskova, said Richard had been the dictator of a very small country, and I think it was wearing on everybody, she would tell Rolling Stone. She said all the guys were really fond of each other, but it had run its course at that time. And creatively, he wanted to stretch his wings and get a little weirder, and people expected the Cars thing, the hooks. He was like, F that, I want to do something else. And Elliot Easton, the guitarist of the Cars, recalled the bombshell moment in a recording studio. He said, we were just sitting and listening and talking. He just kind of said, I think I'm going to leave the group, and the blood went to my feet. However, Easton noted that the induction reunion made way for the healing process, and reported that he and Ocasek began exchanging lighthearted text as a result. Reflecting on their work together, Easton said, if the goal was to have great success making pop music with a sense of irony, then mission accomplished, right? Easton would go on to remember Ocasek as someone who preferred session work to concerts, saying he was definitely not one of those hello Cleveland kind of guys. Rick was much happier in the recording studio. And Poroskova confirmed that Ocasek had been struggling with writing a series of songs that perhaps could have led to a new Cars album, saying, it got me so excited, she said. It was like him basically taking to extremes the sweetness of his music with pretty dark lyrics. But Ocasek later told her, it's not coming to me, and the project was never finished, unfortunately. So that does it for today's news, guys. Thanks for watching. I've done a couple videos on the Cars a couple weeks ago if you guys want to check it out. And if you guys have stayed this long enough, then I want to let you guys know that on Wednesday, I'll be revealing a video about the Verve and how they dethroned Oasis from the rock charts in the UK. So you guys can stay tuned for that. And as always, guys, hit the like button and subscribe, and let me know which stories you'd like to see me cover in future episodes of my channel. Take care.